Welcome back to the HMA Interview Podcast. We are excited to have Senior Nationals champ and sophomore from Northern Colorado, Andrew Alirez, join us today for the 51st interview. Before we roll the episode, let me fill you in on the latest at HMA Wrestling. First and foremost, we have just published our first ever merchandise order, and it is live on our site at hmawrestling.com/shop. That's hmawrestling.com/shop. Purchasing our compound sportswear gear is the best way to support HMA to keep on producing content. Alright, enough from me. Let's turn it over to Andrew Alirez. Alright, welcome back to the HMA Interview Podcast. I'm joined today by Andrew Alirez from Northern Colorado. Andrew, how's it going today?
Going good. I'm feeling good. I ain't got nothing to complain about.
That's awesome. So, you just got back from Senior Nationals. I'd like to touch on that a little bit later in the episode. But what's it been like since you got back? It's only been a couple days now. What have you been doing since you got back from Senior Nationals?
Nothing much, just kind of taking it all in. I've stopped by my family and friends, stopped, visit them, showed them my little stop sign. Just taking it all in and enjoying the moment right now.
Yeah, yep. Not your first ever stop sign, is it?
Yeah, well, first place. I got a lot of second, third, fourth, all that, but that's my first big one.
Well, that's exciting for sure, and that was a really, really stacked bracket, and I'm excited to get into that later on. But let's take it back to the beginning of your career. How you got started in the sport of wrestling. Just what was the introduction like when you first got started?
So my dad and family have wrestled for a while, their whole lives. So I've kind of been groomed my whole life. I started wrestling diapers, ever since I was little. I've been fed from my family that I'm going to be the one, I'm supposed to do this and I'm going to do that. So just growing up, I've always had that, I wouldn't call it pressure, but just that feeling of support growing up. Yeah. So
a little bit of an expectation, I guess.
Yeah, like an expectation. I'm supposed to go do this and that. So
yep.
Well, it's been like that.
Well, that's awesome. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I did. So I boxed. I played football, baseball, soccer. I did most of the sports up until I boxed throughout middle school, and then but I stopped playing football and baseball and all that around like middle school. Right when middle school started is when I mainly wrestling.
So when you first got started in wrestling, your first couple years, did you love it immediately, or did it take you a little bit to develop a passion for the sport?
Oh, it took me a little bit. I didn't really like it. Well, wrestling's tough, it's not like football or any of these other sports where you're literally out there having fun. Every day you go into the training room as a kid, you'd rather be playing video games and doing this instead of going out and grinding in the garage and getting beat up on. So it took me a while to finally find some love for the sport, and that was kind of happened once I started seeing a lot of success because, everybody loves winning. So once that started to happen, I really started to grow a passion, and then it just started growing and growing every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you first got started, obviously you played sports up until about middle school. So is that when you started to get really serious about it and really take pride in it and make it a big, I guess, a big part of your life? Did you travel to tournaments? What was it like when you kind of switched off from other sports and prioritized wrestling?
So when I started focus on wrestling is when I got real serious and asking my dad to take me, because I grew up going to Tulsa and all them. Right. But then I started asking to go to all these other tournaments like McDonough Duels, Heartland, all that other stuff. Once I started loving wrestling, it made me want to reach out and go to all these different tournaments, just looking for more opportunities and just training harder, taking it more seriously instead of course, doing that three-month football season or whatever. Just always wrestling. I started like taking ownership of my own career real young. I kind of ran my own workouts. I'd go for my own runs, go sprint, go do this and that by myself.
Did you have much success when you started to get serious?
So I've always been the kind of guy who wasn't winning Tulsa and stuff like that, but I was always placing. I was always right there. So I wasn't winning, but I'm right there. And yeah, I started to like it as I started to win. I didn't start winning crazy really until like my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Is when yeah, I kind of broke through, hit that number one in the country spot my senior year.
And that's when you really broke through and like made a name for yourself. I remember you started to get really, really big around that time. But I mean, back to your middle school, I guess, area. Who were your coaches and partners at the time? You're in Colorado at the time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So my family owns a gym, Top Notch Sports Academy. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad's always been my coach, and we've had our program, and we've always had a bunch of kids coming in training, just local guys. And then of course I used to go to all these other different clubs just to kind of get some live and work with different partners. Like I remember I used to stop in at like Mile High every now and then. They used to
Mm-hmm.
have the Norwicks back in the day. I used to go train over there just to get some live in. But when I would compete, it'd be wrestling under my dad.
Yeah. Um, so when you got into high school, you were at Greeley, I believe, Greeley Central. What were the expectations for you when you got there? Because obviously you'd had some success in middle school. Were you kind of one of the top guys in your high school program? And what were the expectations that your coaches and your parents had for you?
So my whole life going into high school, the expectation for me was to be a four-timer. You know,
Hmm.
so ever since I was real young, 8 years old, that was like my first goal that I had was being a four-time state champ. And then as I got closer, it kind of evolved more. Like it went from just being a four-timer to I don't even want to lose ever. And then it
Right.
went to just jumping, where it got to a point where state ain't even like the thing I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about all these other stuff, these bigger aspirations.
Hmm. So you ended up reaching that goal, but a lot more than that than just a four timer. You ended up number one overall recruit in your class. Won the Junior Hodge Trophy, along with an other plethora of accomplishments in your high school career. What do you think made you have that big jump around your junior year when you took second at World Team Trials and just had kind of a breakout year? What do you think was the cause for that?
I think just maturing as a wrestler and like physically. I put on a lot of muscle going from my sophomore to my junior year. I jumped from being a 26 pounder to a 45 pounder. So
Hmm.
I think as I grew in weight and kind of stopped really cutting a lot, it made me feel a lot better. And I really was able to focus on my wrestling rather than all this outside stuff, like cutting weight or doing whatever.
Right. And when you started to stop cutting weight, what kind of other areas did you see yourself improving in? Were you getting better at your skills, your conditioning, whatever? What was all that went up when you stopped cutting weight and you started to grow a little bit?
Mainly my skills, because I'm out there drilling every day and actually focusing on what I got to do rather than focusing on like, all right, I need to try to lose at least 3 pounds a day or 2 pounds or whatever the case is. I was
Hmm.
just really more invested in training rather than cutting weight. Obviously, you get older, you got to cut weight like now.
Right,
I put on a lot of size just to get to a point where I am cutting a lot of weight to make that 49 or I made 47 for this past tournament.
right.
So it's a part of the sport, but when I was growing in high school, yeah, I stopped cutting weight and it really had a positive effect on me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's good to see people be able to have success when they stop cutting weight because a lot of like the mentality behind cutting weight is you feel like that's the only way you can succeed, and so it's good to see people who take time to grow and take time to focus on their skills and have more success. Because I feel like that's a misread, I guess, opinion nowadays. That you can't win unless you cut weight. Um, but what was the recruiting process like for you? You obviously ended up staying very close to home at UNC, and was that always the plan, or did that wait until last minute?
I've always had UNC kind of in my sights, thinking about going there. But in high school, obviously, growing up, I've always had changes when I was young. I've changed like what college I want to go to from
Hmm.
ages like 10 to when I finally did make my decision. But I was open to everybody. I was talking to a lot of schools. But I committed pretty early to UNC my junior year, right after I won Doc B. And the reason I did that is so I kind of bought in on what Troy and Moreno and Kylie were telling me. Like, if I want to be able to build this team, I gotta commit now, so I could go try to recruit these other guys to jump on board too.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't do like the whole visit stuff really. That was kind of the only thing that I missed out on. But other than that, I was talking to a lot of schools.
And was that after his number one performance?
No, that was before. So I went to Who's Number One my senior year.
Okay.
And I had already been committed for a year.
Yeah.
It was my junior year when I made my verbal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who's Number One, I was already locked in.
Got it. Okay. So what was it like, that recruiting process? Like, when did you start to narrow it down? Why did you end up choosing UNC?
So the story of me choosing UNC was so I was real open. I wasn't ready to commit nowhere. And then I had a bad Fargo, and then I went to Super 32, and I was wrestling good. I was predicted to do pretty well in the tournament. And every match, I saw all the college coaches mat side, and they were all watching me. But then I ended up falling and getting pinned by I forgot who it was, but he ended up sticking me. And on the backside, all them coaches that were mat side, they all kind of left, you know. And I looked over, and the only one there was Troy. He was with me when I was down. And that's kind of a trait that I look for as a coach.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And interesting that you say that, because I've heard a lot of coaches talk about their, especially with the guys that they go to watch at Super 32, they know who the good guys are, and they know who they're looking for already before they go into. They know the rankings and everything, so they like to look for the guys who will have some adversity, how they handle that, how they handle their weight cut and diet and all that. So I think that's really cool that you were able to kind of reverse that card on the coaches to figure out what they were like. So that's really cool.
Yeah, because that tournament, I lost early, but I ended up coming back all the way to third and fourth. I wrestled like 7-8 straight matches to come back. And then they were back mat side watching again.
Yeah.
And I was already feeling some type of way about that. So just seeing Troy there made me feel like that's where I need to be.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And that's exciting that you're able to feel that connection with the coach and also stay so close to home. How far is UNC from where you grew up?
So yeah, I've lived right by campus, no more than 10 minutes away, 7 minutes. So my high school is a block away from our Butler where we wrestle. So I've always been real close to UNC. I've been around that program since my 8th grade year. So I've really seen everything happen. I've seen the change firsthand. So that's why I didn't have no doubt when it was time to make that decision.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Is there like a club? Is there a club there, an RTC type club?
Yeah. So my 8th grade year was like the first year they got the RTC running.
Mm-hmm.
And I had placed at Fargo. So that qualified me to get in there and start training. And once I was able to, I was in
It's
there.
8:30.
Every opportunity I had.
That is awesome. That's really, really cool. What were you training with the college guys in that room from 8th grade on?
Yeah. So I was wrestling with them, since I was a little kid in middle school. So
How much did you weigh?
I know the old guys. Yeah, I've been around that program for a while. They'd have their simulation match days, and Troy would throw me in the simulation match.
How much were you weighing in the 8th grade year?
Yeah, so it's funny because I started wrestling with all the 25ers and the smallest guys I could get, and then
you said 110.
Yeah, different groups as I got bigger. Yeah,
Wow.
I was a little guy in middle school.
That's really, really cool. You were able to wrestle with them as an 8th grader. Wow, that's crazy. That's something I'd love to do. But that's fantastic that it came in right as you were able to as well. So
yeah, it was
that's
like
perfect timing.
meant to be almost.
Did that have much to do with your recruiting process too? Getting to be a part of the program?
Yeah, it was kind of different because I'm sure most like other coaches, they're recruiting you, but you don't really know them, they're just kind of hitting you up. I've been around Troy, talked to Troy like 2 times, 3 times a week for the last years, since I was an eighth grader. So we really built a real relationship where it feels like it's not just like it's not new,
Yeah.
So it feels like he's been there. He's been a part of my life for a while. Him, Moreno, Kylie, all of them. I've been around there. So when it was time to make my decision, it felt really good, really comfortable to make that. And knowing I got the support of G-Town behind me. So there was no wrong.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. And I think it also plays a role in your success in freestyle too. Like your success has not been just limited to folk style. You've had some crazy success at Fargo and World Team Trials, and this last weekend at Senior Nationals. So I'm sure being a part of that RTC program and being exposed to the top level guys wrestling freestyle at such a young age really helped with that.
Yeah, just trying to do what I do, man. Keep climbing.
For sure. So, as you started to get older, how much did you buy into freestyle to kind of feed that flame for the skill that you have now?
So it was I didn't wrestle any freestyle until my eighth. Fargo was my first. Well, I went to Southern Plains like 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before Fargo, and then Fargo was my second freestyle tournament ever, my eighth grade year. And then once I went there and I kind of just fell in love with it, being able to end a match so quick. And then from there on, it was just something I love. Like freestyle is my favorite style for sure. But
Why is that?
Yeah. Why?
Why is that?
I like being on my feet, man. I like bouncing around, shooting, and getting takedowns. I'm not a huge fan of top and bottom, but I know I got to do it.
Right, yeah.
You got to do stuff you don't want to do. But when it comes to my preference, freestyle is definitely number one.
Yep. I love hearing people's reasoning because some people like the scrambles in freestyle better, but everybody seems to like freestyle better that I guess wrestles in both and is at a high level.
I think it's just more exciting.
It sure is, and it's a lot of fun to watch too. I think that the way that it's built, there's very little room for passivity and non-entertaining positions. So it's a great style, and I think it's gonna really bring in more people because it's super entertaining. Was your Who's Number One match freestyle or folk style?
It was folk style.
It was folk style. I remember watching that, and I remember where I was. I remember you guys had a little bit of beef. It was you and Lu Chao, right?
Yeah.
You guys had a little bit of a beef there before the match on Twitter, and then a little bit in the press conference. Just walk me through that process and what it was like with you and him before, what was going through your mind, and if you let it get to you at all.
Yeah, no, it didn't get to me or nothing like that because how I've grown up, I've dealt with people talking like that all the time, like even just for fun, just to be funny. So nothing like that ever got to me. But yeah, it was a cool situation. I think I honestly thought it was good for wrestling. I think it brought in a lot of outside attention.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, I wasn't trying to do nothing like that. I was just being who I am. Someone comes in a disrespectful manner at all, you got to stand on that. That's just what I believe. And I probably shouldn't have went off on Twitter like that, but I probably could have handled it a little different. But it is what it is. It's in the past, and to this day, still, if someone comes like that, that's got to be handled.
Right, and it ended up working out for you pretty well in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, I got that. I got the win. I wrestled awful, but I got it done.
I don't know about that one.
That was crazy. I remember I didn't know that there was I think it was a 6 or 4 pound weight allowance, 6-pound weight allowance.
So you were,
and I didn't even know.
Smaller.
Yeah, because I was weighing about 150 flat.
Right.
And when I saw him, he stepped on the scale at 58. I was like, damn, what the hell,
Yeah.
and I was all chugging water, just trying to hit 52, just so I could say I weigh 52.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it was a good experience. That's a real cool environment. I love that.
Yep. And you got to wrestle when it was in Grace Hall at Lehigh, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was the
It's
last year they did it there.
yeah. Which I think it was a really cool place, and whose number one's is grown a lot. But it's kind of cool to be a part of the first place. Be able to wrestle in that.
Where it all began.
What kind of load off your chest was it when you won that to kind of back up all the talk that had happened before the match? Was that a load off your chest?
Um, yeah, obviously, because if I would have lost, then I would have been real pissed. But it was just it feels good to get stuff done always. But I
Yeah,
wasn't taking it too serious.
right.
Yeah, me and Jace are cool now. We've talked a little bit,
That's cool.
but
Good to hear. He's a lot bigger now, isn't he? He's a 65.
yeah, I always knew he was gonna be real big. Just yeah, wrestling. You look at that. I've watched that match not too long ago, and just you could just see how much smaller I was. Like
Yeah, it was definitely very clear.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
because he
mean,
was
you could tell he
cutting to
was cutting
make
from
that.
like 70 to 58. You were
Yeah.
weighing about 50 pounds. Yeah, it was a big difference, that's for sure.
I remember I got that first takedown, and then like going out of bounds. I remember just being like, "Dang, man, I am tired." And after that match, I went backstage. I was throwing up. That was tough.
Yeah, that must have taken a lot of energy. I I've wrestled a lot of guys that are bigger than me, and it's such a different battle. When guys cut weight, it's a big advantage, but at the same time, it's also like we said, it takes away from a lot of your attention to skill
Oh yeah,
and
man.
other things. So
And especially now, almost all tournaments except what Super 32, it's same day weigh-in.
right,
Almost always.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't believe in cutting really when you're young. But
mhm,
obviously, you hit college. I learned that
you're
the
gonna
hard
have
way
to.
last year. I was probably 155 pounds on a big day
Yeah,
last year, wrestling 49s. So
yeah,
now, over the summer, I got up to like 70.
that's
So
good.
making 47 was pretty. It wasn't tough, but it was a cut. I felt it.
Right.
But it's
You
good. You
plan on
need to do
going?
that when you're older.
You plan on going 49 again next year?
Yeah, yeah. I'll be 49 for my whole life. I don't think I'm gonna get much taller. So
Okay. And that's normally a good fit for it's 65. It'll be hard, but
yeah,
good fit into the Olympic weight. But let's get into your college career a little bit. It started off really strong. Your first semester included a bunch of opens. Um, that people were kind of waiting. You were the number one recruit in your class, and so people were kind of waiting to see how well you'd pan out. What was it like with that kind of pressure? Everybody was watching you to see how it would work out, and and then kind of go into the decision of not redshirting. Just walk me through what it was like when you first got to UNC.
yeah. That like pressure. I don't really feel no pressure hardly. So I love it. You want to put
Yeah,
that on my back. I'm going to be able to carry it. So going into my freshman year, I was excited, man. We were training hard. Those two opens, I was firing. I was wrestling pretty well. Yeah, and then I had some setbacks. The injuries started coming, and
right.
fought through them. But it's tough, man. College season, it's no
Mhm.
joke. You got to be mentally prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So one tournament that I really want to dive into a little bit is one that I was at, and I was at the Southern Scuffle, where you had a really good tournament. Took second as a true freshman, but you also wrestled a true freshman. I believe Evis was a true freshman in the finals,
Yeah, yeah.
which really shows the depth of our country right now, where we can bring in guys from high school and they can compete at the highest level. But what was it like going to that tournament? Take me to the process. What was your weight cut like? And because obviously it's a huge tournament, and so I'm sure you had a lot of focus on that.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my first tournament back because I had our West Virginia duel, and then I was out, and then came back for the scuffle. So it was nice to finally be back on the mat. I was really excited for it, and I wrestled. There was no weight cut, because
Yeah,
like I said, I was real small. So I was eating, feeling good, feeling energized, and then wrestled well. Got to the finals. One scramble didn't go my way. That's just how
Right.
it goes sometimes.
Yep. But it was a entertaining tournament from you, especially. It was good to see you were able to put up a lot of points on guys a lot bigger and a lot older than you. So that was just a fun experience for me to watch that. Um, and then obviously it was a very, very weird year. I think you were going to the NCAAs. I think we'll skip ahead to that, and this is gonna be Andrew Alirez story time. What was it like after your conference tournament where you qualified? You saw the brackets, you were seated. When did you start to hear rumors that maybe there would be no fans, that maybe it would get canceled? Just walk me through that week after your conference tournament and what was going through your mind.
Yeah, so we got back from Big 12s, normal coming back, normal getting ready to train. And yeah, the speculations start coming. I remember talking to my teammates about when we started hearing that there ain't going to be no fans. And we were real bummed about it because it was supposed to be at the Viking Stadium, right?
Right.
And so it's supposed to be a real big show. And I'm the type of guy that I thrive off of big crowds, big high energy matches. That's where I want to be. That's why I'm wrestling in college. That's why I try to go to all these tournaments to put myself in that situation, give myself that opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, so we heard there's going to be no fans, and then we're like, damn, all right, whatever. Kind of got to live with it. Still got to wrestle. We had our brackets came out, and I actually loved my draw.
You had a good draw, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was very happy with where I was sitting. I was feeling ready to compete. And then the last day, I remember the whole team were all in treatment, right? And we see, I think it was basketball got
Hmm.
canceled.
Yep.
So we're all in the training room, and then we start seeing people come in and out of the training room that we never see. So we're just sitting there, like, just thinking, and then rumors start floating around, and we're talking to everybody, but they're saying, as of right now, no, schools are pulling out, but we're not going to pull out. And then give it like 15, 20 minutes later, right before practice, we get a text saying that we're going to have a team meeting. And by then, we kind of knew what we were going to hear. So we all went to the wrestling room. Troy sat us all down and let us know that there ain't going to be a season. And yeah, we're done. We're off the hook until whenever we had to come back. So yeah, went out. We were devastated, man. It sucked. That was because I ended my last match. My last tournament was Big 12s, and it did not end how I wanted. So that was just eating at me for months. I
Yeah.
never got the chance to redeem myself or even give myself the opportunity to do it. So that really hurt me. I was down for a minute, but you always eventually you got to get over it. You got to look for the next thing, and that next thing was senior nationals.
Yeah, so walk me through your summer, what it was like, because I'm sure there was very little on the side of training over there. Nobody in the country was really able to get um, much high level training in normal circumstances, at least. Nobody in the world really. So what was your training like? I want to hear your stories. Did you go back to your home and your old club? Did you wrestle with the guys that you used to wrestle with at high school? And yeah, what was it like when you went back?
Yeah, so when all that was going on, I was pretty locked in, still, because I felt like I need to do something. Since that last tournament, I wasn't happy with it. So I was running a lot. Just whenever I could, I'd go outside, stance in motion outside, just do whatever I can.
Hmm.
And getting on the mat, I'm lucky enough to have a gym, so I got the keys going whenever I want and work out. So I was kind of blessed in that situation, being
Right.
able to get on the mat. Obviously, I wasn't able to like have partners, so it was just me and my brother, who's right around the same size as me. So we were just in there training whenever we could, just trying to stay busy. Obviously, not going hard really, just drilling, studying, just trying to grow. But it definitely was a tough time, because it's hard not being able to see your team, your friends, all this stuff, and the world's changing, and you got to learn how to change with it and adapt.
When did you get back to school, back to normal training?
We got back training. What was it? I think 4 weeks ago we started our runs.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our long distance and our short distance run days twice, Tuesday and Thursday, and then me and Moshe, we've been training for about 6 hard. We've been going every day, 7:30, 6:30, waking up early, going and training, lifting, running, just doing everything we can. We really grinded for this tournament, and it showed. UNC sent 3 people, me, Catherine, and Moshe, and we put them all in the finals. So we trained real hard. Troy and Moreno really put a lot of time into us. Troy was helping Moshe with the Greco, and Moreno was with me training freestyle, getting me ready.
Yeah, so that's really, really cool. What were your expectations going into senior nationals? Because obviously, normally freshmen in college, especially true freshmen, don't normally compete in the senior nationals, and much less expect to win and win the tournament in a bracket like that as too. What were your expectations? What was it like going into that tournament?
So where I was sitting is just in my mind, I believe I'm the guy, I believe I'm the best always, no matter who's you put in front of me. I believe I'm the best. I'm gonna get it done. But I also understand that wrestling's a crazy sport. Anything could happen. Anyone could be beat on any given day. Me too. I could lose to anybody. You never know. So I just kind of went in with that mentality, just thinking I'm just gonna go out there and bang and see what happens, and it helped me just really let it fly. And I wasn't thinking about wins and losses. I was just thinking going out there and just letting it all go.
Well, that's awesome. You said the weight cut was a little bit harder this time than what you're used to. What was it like when you finally got a hard weight cut in? And I'm sure it's been a while before, or since you had something like that. What was that weight cut like?
It's been a minute since I've had the cut weight, but I did it real smart. My coaches, Kylie mainly, he's had me on a diet plan for 5 weeks, 4 weeks. So I got my weight down. The last day I was about 7 over, but it was pretty easy. Lost it, and then the next day scratched. I was about 8 over the next day, but it was just water, Gatorade. So it wasn't too bad, but it was honestly kind of nice having to do that. It's been a minute since I've had to cut weight like that, and it's been a long time since I've went into a tournament feeling like I'm one of the bigger guys.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. What was that feeling like when you got there and you were like, hey, these guys are a little bit smaller than me?
Yeah, because a lot of them were 41-pounders,
Right.
So I walked in there just with the mentality like I'm bigger, stronger, faster, more technical, and we're just going to see what happens. But it did feel good knowing just every time I locked up with somebody, it felt like their strength advantage was on my side.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that translates to everywhere.
Yeah, that keeps coming.
A lot more fit in for this weight class now, especially 49s.
Right. Yeah, that's exciting. I'm sure that's going to be a rough season if there is one, but 49 is going to be a little low, especially weighing 70. But when you were wrestling those guys, that was one of the toughest brackets of the tournament. Obviously, what was your seed? I think you were maybe around 9, yeah, 9, 10, around there. So, obviously, nobody really had you slated to make the finals, much less take the tournament, take the title. Were you thinking about that at all? I'm sure you were pretty laser focused, and just walk me through that tournament and what the day was like.
Yeah, I was just thinking, let him sleep. Let him keep thinking that. I know I've been beating high-level dudes my whole career. I've been beating senior-level guys for a minute now since my senior year of high school. I've been beating All-Americans since I was a junior. So I know what I could do, and I told people in Broken Arrow a while ago that when people forget, I'm gonna remind them who I am, and that's exactly what I did. And when I did it, I made sure to let everybody know that I did.
Yep,
So,
you sure did.
going through that tournament, it was I think I had a pretty tough draw. I think I beat second, third, and fourth, so definitely earned that stop sign.
Yep, you sure did. And it was exciting to watch you wrestle. Again, your freestyle skills are really really good, and I'm excited to watch you even after college compete on that scene. And you said you mentioned training at Broken Arrow this summer. Were you over there with Coach Guerrero?
Yeah. I went to one of the camps.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was, but it was me, my two brothers, and one of my homies. We drove over there and stood there for about a week with Guerrero. Yeah, learned a lot of good technique. It was funny. I was actually rolling with Evan a lot there, and we were
really,
talking.
really.
Yeah. So he's a good dude, but it's kind of funny that it was me and him in the finals, even though
Right.
we were just training together not too long ago.
And I'll tell you what, nobody predicted that to be the finals. But it ended up that way, and it did not disappoint. That's for sure. Yeah, I got to train a little bit with Coach Guerrero this summer too. He had a little bit of a high school youth camp, and I got to spend a little bit of time with him, and that was fantastic. He's such a great coach, and this summer he put on some really good camps for the college guys and international high school guys. So it's cool to hear what he did this summer.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It was a great camp. Learned a lot, and just tried to take everything I got from it. I'm very thankful for having that opportunity.
For sure, for sure. So looking forward to the next season. We got our fingers crossed that it actually happens,
For real.
and if it happens, that we get the longest possible with the most possible matches, and all fans are there. But that's probably not super realistic. So are you spending much time thinking about that? And where's your mind regarding this upcoming season? Are you planning on competing in it if there is one? Are there talks of redshirting this year since you do have one left to use? What's your mind like going into the season?
So if they have a season, yeah, it's kind of a tough situation. I want to
Yeah,
wrestle, of course, but I would hate to wrestle and then
right.
have them cancel again right before NCAAs.
That would
But
be
I think, yeah, the plan right now is UNC. We're gonna send the best roster we got. So obviously, I'll be wrestling if we do have a season, and just trying to control what I can control and just go out there and scrap when I can and just do what I do.
well. I'm really hoping there is one. I'd love to get to watch you compete some more. I hope Southern Scuffle happens, and we can watch you wrestle there too. But I appreciate your time today, Andrew. I think it's a great interview, and I appreciate you coming on.
No doubt. Thank you. Thank you for having me.